Often titled the father of comedy, Aristophanes is the oldest surviving comedic playwright. As profound as vulgar, his plays reveal ancient Athenian values, ideology, and controversies. Jeering at and referencing sex, gender, religion, politicians, history, other playwrights, and morality, he is now, perhaps, even more irreverent and funny than ever before. Birds. This play makes use of a myth wherein the gods transform a king named Tyrus into a bird. The details are not essential, as the play itself explains what is relevant to the plot. It starts with the two principal characters, Peisthetaerus and Euelpides, wandering about, lost, using a pair of birds as guides. Euelpides carries a jackdaw and Peisthetaerus carries a crow. After explaining that they're looking for a new home where they can live in peace, a terrifying human-sized bird appears. The jackdaw and crow fly away in fear. This new character calls the heroes.
A couple of bird robbers.
In response, Peisthetaerus and Euelpides jocularly lie about being birds themselves. The new character explains that he is a slave bird. When his master, Tyrus, was turned into a bird, his servants were also turned. Skipping several jokes, the slave bird returns with his master. He is apparently very ugly, which is curious because he is a human-sized hoopoe. That is a very pretty kind of bird. Either way, Euelpides says to him,
My word. With you the 12 Olympians certainly went amiss.
Funny enough, when asked if they are looking for a city better than Athens.
Greater? No, just better for us.
So it's aristocracy you seek?
Not at all. Aristocrats disgust me.
Of course, Aristophanes was an aristocrat. The two heroes explain that they seek a city where the worst that could happen is being obligated to attend a neighbor's child's wedding, or for a neighbor to complain that.
You bump into my son coming from the gym. He is all rosy from his bath and you don't kiss him. You don't hug him or cuddle his balls. And you call yourself a family friend.
This is certainly peculiar. One has to hope that it would be as funny back then as it is now. They reject all of Tyrus' suggestions for one reason or another. Then, when they ask him about life with the birds, the king answers, yes, he is still king, though now he is a bird king.
It's quite nice, actually, and the great thing is, there's no need of a purse.
Which immediately gets rid of life's greatest curse.
We have picnics in the gardens. Of blanched sesame seed, myrtle berries, poppy seeds, and mint.
Wow. The life of honeymooners.
At this point, Peisthetaerus bestows advice to organize and build a unified city-state for the birds. When asked where such a city-state may be settled, Peisthetaerus tells Tyrus to look around, above and below. This one jocularly comments that he is trying to snap his neck. Peisthetaerus tells him that he will rule not only over humans and bugs, but also the gods. He says,
Because in between them and us is air, right? And just as we have to ask for visas from the Boeotians, when we want to visit Delphi, so will humans. When they sacrifice to the gods have to get visas for the savory smell of fried bacon to reach heaven.
So, the plan is to build a wall separating the heavens from the earth. Tyrus loves the idea. Asks the two men to speak before all birds and convince them, don't worry, since he became king, he instituted a public education system, and so all birds speak Greek. Tyrus sings a most praiseworthy song to assemble what will be the chorus of the play, a chorus made of various birds. As I understand it, this is the pinnacle of the progressive rise in production values in Greek plays that I mentioned when discussing wasps. To make the matter clear, first a rare beauty to the Greeks appears, a flamingo. Then a pheasant, after that a hoopoe, later a gulper, and finally a total of 24 different birds, all with different costumes and of different colors. Upon seeing the two humans, the chorus, and its leader, are outraged at their presence, regardless of how highly Tyrus speaks of them. The bird chorus prepares to attack. The two heroes arm themselves with frying pans. Euelpides mentions an adulating analogy with reference to Nicias. This reminds me I should mention that Birds is written after the Sicilian expedition has been sent, but before it has been defeated. A full historical explanation would require far too long of a digression, but I mention it because the play is written in a jubilant, confident, and optimist Athens. Soon afterwards, that commended General fails disastrously in Sicily. This whole affair is highly related to the debacle with Alcibiades. The Athenian defeat in the Peloponnesian War is unanimously attributed to the failure of the Sicilian expedition, thus, likewise unanimously, to Nicias. These events are particularly influential throughout the whole of human history because they are often used by some people as proof that true democracy is bad and must never again be attempted. Of course, I disagree profoundly, but simply know that it is funny that Aristophanes commends Nicias as he is later throughout all of history, universally, considered an overcautious failure. Returning to the play, Tyrrhus convinces the chorus to listen to Peisthetaerus' advice or recommendation. He tells them that they may rightfully become monarchs of all existence, humans, animals, and gods. He says that according to the legend or wisdom of Aesop, yes, Aesop and his fables, birds are in fact the original masters. They were long ago unjustly usurped by the Olympians. He goes over a made-up history with many jokes and comical references on how the birds used to be kings, all with various comical proofs. As for the gods, the truth behind the story is why they each have a bird as a companion. Zeus has an eagle, Athena an owl, Apollo a hawk. The gods need these birds for their power. He mentions that in the past the birds would take people's offerings before the gods could get their hands on them, and that people would only swear by various names of the birds, not the gods. In the then present times, however, because of the gods' lies, the birds have been turned into barbecue. The chorus responds with,
"Yes, it's a sad, and yes, it's a terrible tale you've told me. Oh man, and it fills me with grief for the sins of my parents. For they in the course of my life have lost the benefits that our ancestors earned, and we should have received. But now by a miracle or gift from heaven you have appeared as a timely savior, and I commit my life and my young to your care."
Thus, Peisthetaerus wins them over and he basically becomes their ruler. When advising them on the wall they must build and deny free passage to the gods, he mentions something very humorous.
As if they're wont with flaming erections, on their way down for a spot of adultery, with their alcmene, their elopes, and their similes. And if you catch them trespassing, clap a padlock on their penises, and put a stopper to their fornication.
It is easy for us nowadays to laugh at Greco-Roman religion, yet it is rather incredible that Aristophanes, or the Greeks themselves, would make such jokes. There are many more jokes, comments, and details to Peisthetaerus' plan. Let it suffice to say that the birds have plenty of ways to terrorize the humans into veneration. Likewise, they may starve the gods into subjugation. Peisthetaerus is made their commander. Tyrrhus tells his servants to acquire some special, magic, roots that will turn the two heroes into human-sized birds. A young woman, another human-turned bird, is brought in. Some sexual references that an Aristophanes play cannot be without are made. Then, after they all go with the young woman into a house, the chorus sings a long eulogy to birds. I reckon anyone fond of bird watching, or animals in general, will love this passage. The eulogy progresses from observations about the real nature and behavior of birds to some specifics as to what will be the culture or lifestyle of the city, and lastly a praise to the benefits of having wings and flight. As for the culture of the city, make note of how they will take kindly to father beaters. And as for the benefits of flight, let me mention as an example.
If one of you happens to be an adulterer, and suddenly sees seated among the elites the lady's spouse, you may flap your wings. And for a first-class fuck, fly like the wind. Then fly back without anyone suspecting. So, aren't a pair of wings truly priceless?
After the chorus song, the two heroes enter the stage, but now they have wings. They quickly decide that the name of the new bird city will be Cloudcuckooland of Birds. After a symbolic ceremony in honor not of a god, but of birds in general, various unwanted characters begin arriving. First, it's the poet. When asked, he answers,
I am he from whose lips there drips the honey of verse. I am page of the muse.
The poet recites various verses, but in the end Peisthetaerus drives him away, though he says he will be back with more verses. Then the oracle monger enters. As always, Aristophanes does not pass up a chance to deride that kind of people. This character says that they must listen to him as cloudy land of birds is foretold in a sibyl. Peisthetaerus remarks,
You tell me that now, after I've founded the city.
in the end, the hero pretends he also has such a magic scroll which states that if ever a nuisance as the oracle monger arrives, when this one asks for pay or power as he surely will, then he must be punched and kicked. Then Peisthetaerus hits the oracle monger with his scroll and chases him off the city. Subsequently arrives Melton. This was a famous geometer and astronomer. If not a philosopher, at least a scientist. He claims to be there to survey and plot the air itself. A parody of scientific procedure and equipment necessary for such an art, akin to a bit of modern science fiction, ensues. It is really funny, but too long to quote. In the end, since Melton takes too long to leave, Peisthetaerus punches him in the gut and throws him out. Lastly, enters a so-called inspector and a newscaster. To make a long matter short, the ensuing jokes appear to me rather controversial for that time, as essentially these are symbolic of the Athenian overruling power of their own allies. Before and during the Peloponnesian War, Athens and Sparta competed to have the better image in the eyes of the other Greek cities. The situation is often described as analogous to the foreign policies and competitions of the United States and the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Unfortunately, it may be argued that Athens overpoliced and demanded too much from its allies, that these were really just part of an Athenian empire. Of course, the Spartans were not better. Either way, these two last characters are from Athens and Peisthetaerus punches them and kicks them out. So, yeah. The chorus sings the parabasis, and when acting resumes, Peisthetaerus finds out the wall has been completed in record time. The messenger describes to him how the birds could do it so efficiently. Now begins the fight against the gods. A second messenger arrives saying that some god with wings has broken through the wall. It turns out to be the goddess Iris. She is the goddess of the rainbow and a divine messenger. She is scantily dressed in drapes of all the colors and, of course, she is very attractive.
Will one of you triple-testicled cockerels just grab her and bang her?
Grab me? And commit a nasty?
Well, something to make you sorry.
I would find it quite extraordinary.
The goddess had not even realized she had done something illegal. She leaves as she warns them about Zeus' retribution. Their wall also affects humans. A herald arrives and sings praises to Peisthetaerus as he says,
Before you built this state, everybody doted on the Spartans. Had long hair, went hungry, never washed, copied Socrates, waving walking sticks, but now they've changed. All got bird mania and are having fun, imitating fowls and poultry and everything.
This same herald tells him that thousands of Greeks will soon be arriving wishing to become citizens. Peisthetaerus welcomes the news as he has the servants prepare the necessary wings for the immigrants. As a brief digression, let it be known that the mention of Socrates is relevant. In my opinion, it validates the argument that in all likelihood Socrates used to go around the city commending the enemy in time of war. That is the real reason why he was democratically executed after the Spartan oligarchy was overthrown. The first migrant to arrive is the previously mentioned Father Beater. He says that he was attracted to the bird city by their acceptance of violence against parents. Peisthetaerus welcomes him as he would make a good soldier. That fact makes one think about what the possible message behind this play may be. The second migrant is Synesius, a then famous species of poet. This one says,
I want you to give me wings to fly on high, so I may grab from the clouds misplaced verses and rhymes that flutter in the winds.
In the end, Peisthetaerus chases him away as he hits him with a pair of the oversized wings. The whole interchange is pretty funny. It should be noted that with the next immigrant to show up, Aristophanes praises and makes clear his love and respect for the verbal or linguistic arts. This immigrant is an informer, basically a lost spy or witness for hire. It is important to keep in mind that throughout most of human history, for various reasons and limitations, nowhere was there anything close to the effectiveness, uprightness, and professionalism of our modern police systems. To explain what happens, merely let me say that the informer wishes wings so he can spy and snitch on his neighbors. Peisthetaerus says to him,
Listen, my words can wing you wherever you choose. Words, hear to my counsel, give everything flight. Yes, words can raise the mind to higher things.
In the end, Peisthetaerus whips the informer out of the city. The chorus sings, and when acting resumes none other than Prometheus arrives. At one point, Aristophanes has him proclaimed as the greatest lover and aid to humans, even a secret despiser of the Olympians. Prometheus tells Peisthetaerus that his plan is working marvelously. The gods, not only the Olympians, but also some barbarians he refers to as tribal lions, are starving and ready to capitulate. Prometheus advises him not to agree to a peace so easily, rather, to demand Zeus' princess as a bride. I do believe this is a character that Aristophanes makes up because, well, I must note, this Prometheus is like Aeschylus would like it. Also, the divine princess must be an invention. In Aristophanes' plays, the hero always has to marry, or at least sleep with, a very attractive and worthy bride. Before leaving, using his power of foresight, Prometheus gives Peisthetaerus a cooking pot and tells him that he will need it. Poseidon, Heracles, and a made-up, idiotic, barbarian god arrive. Their mission, to negotiate a peace. Initially, Peisthetaerus gives them little attention as he prepares a meal on the cooking pot that Prometheus gave him. This immediately distracts, attracts, or entices Heracles, who desperately, as is natural to him, wants to get his hands on some of the food. Thus, essentially, Heracles is ready to agree to anything in exchange for some of the banquet being prepared. At first, Poseidon agrees, as Peisthetaerus argues that an alliance with the birds would benefit the gods, for, as things are, humans often freely curse the gods when they find themselves beneath the cover of the clouds. Yet, when Peisthetaerus asks for the princess, Poseidon refuses. It then happens that Peisthetaerus convinces Heracles. He explains to the son of Zeus that he is in fact nothing more than a bastard, and according to the law, that is Solon's law, the bastard cannot inherit anything before the closest legitimate siblings. Thus, Poseidon has an interest in tricking Heracles. The tie-breaking vote rests on the idiotic barbarian Tribalus. He says,
Pretty missy big princessy go to birdie.
It thus happens that Peisthetaerus marries the beautiful princess. She, among other things, brings a batch of thunderbolts with her. All the birds cheer. It is a classic Aristophanist ending. In the next play, seeking to force the men to agree to peace, the women will go on a sexual strike. Don't miss it. Now, to entice you to watch the final video of this series, consider the aphorism.
Intelligent people are rarely elected because fools are impervious to clever ruses.
If you enjoy or gain from my aphorisms, know that I have thousands. I will be writing books with short thematic essays composed out of aphorisms. These essays are profound and intriguing, yet easy to read. For very cheap copies, look up Protagoras Pause in the Amazon website. I repeat, Protagoras Pause, that's my name.